My name is Lindsey. I'm a senior volunteering with the Sunrise Movement. I am here to tell you how climate change has impacted my life. But before, I want everyone here to take a moment and picture your childhood home. Think about the memories you made, the time spent with family and friends, the sense of community you have there. Think about your neighbors with the cute dog, your community during football season, your favorite pizza shop. Take a moment to imagine what it's like to be there. My home was a cozy A-frame house set in a little hollow by a creek. We had a deck overlooking our front yard that had a peach tree, bright green grass, and a creaking front porch swing. My neighborhood friends would play basketball, swim, and sit out on the porch at night telling ghost stories. When I was 14 years old, my neighborhood was obliterated by Tropical Storm Lee. I remember that day being let out of school early because the rain was causing the roads to flood. My brother and I ran down the lane into the creek, which had risen about 10 feet that day. I went in our home, turned on the TV, and found that there was a flash flood warning. It was supposed to rain an additional 8 inches. My family started moving all of our furniture from our first floor to the second. My neighbors had trucks and trailers desperately moving any belongings they could to take as the water was creeping up into their yards and homes. We evacuated to my grandma's home in a nearby town. I vividly remember waking up the next day, still hearing the sound of pouring rain, feeling terrified that I wouldn't have a home to come back to. By the time the rain had stopped, over 10 feet of water was in my home. You could barely see the roofs of my neighbors' homes. There was so much water. The storm took the life of a man from my community. When the water finally disappeared, my neighborhood was unrecognizable. Houses were off the foundations, buildings were gone, trash was strewn everywhere, including in the peach tree. A layer of mud and chemicals coated everything, and the power lines were down in our street. It took months until we were able to live in our home again. Unfortunately, my neighbors didn't have that luxury. Every house but mine in our neighborhood was condemned and eventually taken down. I remember walking into our home, mud-coated and destroyed. I saw the pain and shock in my mother's eyes, and in that moment I felt so helpless. My heart broke for neighbors who were devastated by the loss of their homes. Many were working class and had poor or no flood insurance. They lost everything. My little neighborhood was not the only area affected by the storm. All across Pennsylvania, small local communities were impacted, including our very own Lewisburg. The devastation witnessed by my community was caused by climate change. The creek rose 27 feet, 10 feet higher than the previous record. What I want all of you to understand from my story is that no community can avoid climate change. Not my community, not Central PA, not Lewisburg, and not your community either. Warming air temperatures increase the intensity and frequency of flooding. This means that the devastation I experienced along so many other citizens will not only continue but worsen. It is time for Bucknell to be a good neighbor to Lewisburg and greater central Pennsylvania by taking action to reduce its carbon footprint. It's time for members of Bucknell community to rise up and demand change. Because of my involvement with the Sunrise Movement, I don't feel hopeless anymore. I've been able to be a part of a movement that has already made progress on this campus by securing the ELC lawn reforestation. Each and every one of you has the same ability to support campus initiatives to eliminate Bucknell's carbon footprint by encouraging Bucknell to divest from fossil fuels and petitioning to retire the fossil fuel cogen plant, which powers the campus, and replace it with renewable energy sources. By taking these steps, we can do our part to stop the damage that is occurring to our local communities and help prevent these tragedies from happening to your community. What will you do to protect our future?